Welcome to Walking with Jesus Bible Study. We're going to be in the book of First Corinthians, chapter 13, verses 6 and 7, which is right there. Verse 6. Rejoice not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth. Verse 7. Feareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Have you ever been happy when something bad happened to a person that you didn't like? Oh, but they got what they deserve. This, my family, this is not love. This is evil. Love always wins, but not on a personal level. We must let it. Strive to consistently remind yourself to love others all the time. Is this a nearly impossible task? Or is that it is easier to be evil? We need to be conscious of it. And it will get easier with time. We got to realize that, especially when we come to Christ, and no matter how long we've been in there, we got to remember that habits, whether we had formed them ourselves or not, or we picked them up from being around certain people, is very hard to shake, and it's easy to pick up. You may have personally not had this bad habit, but then you start hanging around this group of people, and they tend to do these things. You can easily pick up the things that the people you hang around with do. Perfect example, when anytime somebody goes to a foreign country and they have been there for either a little bit or even a long while, when they come back, they have accidentally picked up a little bit of the slang of the language there, or the accent that they have from living there. If you don't do it purposely, it just happens to be habit forming. Now, when you're hanging around a certain group of people, you may not act that way, but some people feel in their guts, especially when these people start being mean to other people, but you want to be in that clique because it's the popular group. And you see them bullying or being mean to other people. Now, you personally wouldn't do that, but because you're sitting with that group of people, you are then sharing in their same actions. You may not have done nothing, you may not have laughed, but the people on the opposite side who is watching you, they're going to include you in that group. So when they're talking about those people doing evil things because you are hanging with them, you're going to be put into that category. That's why it's very important to pay attention to who you hang around, who you decide to let be your friends. Because you can very well be held accountable for the very things that they have done, and even though you personally did not do them yourself. There's a lot of innocent people in prison for the rest of their lives because of that. They didn't do anything. They wasn't even with the people when it happened, but very well ended up in prison for life because of what their friends had done. Example, your friends had called you to go do something and said they're going to come get you. Now, before they come to pick you up, they had robbed a bank or robbed somebody's house. And even though they wasn't planning on it, they ended up murdering the people because they didn't realize that somebody was inside. It spooked them in the middle of a robbery, and they turned around and killed somebody, and then got in the car, and then continued, said, oh, we've got to continue on a regular day so we don't look suspicious, so we need to continue on. We normally go pick them up, so let's go pick them up and go to the mall and establish an alibi. Unknown to you, they've come picked you up. Now you're in that vehicle, and before they even make it to the mall, the cop pulls over that vehicle. And you are now with the people who had just committed, and because you can't prove, because you were at your house by yourself, during the time that they did it, but you was in the car by the time the cops picked him, and it's only been 5-10 minutes later. There's no way that you could prove that you was at your home at that time, and now you have to spend the rest of your life in prison for what your friends have done. A lot of people don't like to believe it, but I'm going to tell you right now, a good 65, if not 75% of most people that is in jail or in prison, especially from way back, if you want to say from the 70s, are innocent people. A lot of people say that's a high number. Well, you know, it can be even more higher because a lot of people who was tried in the 60s was sentenced to life over stuff, didn't even actually commit the murders that they had did. Didn't actually do the crimes that they have did. Especially if you're more in the smaller towns, you best believe that most people was just arrested and was put the blame on because the person who actually committed that crime was either of a higher status. And I'm not just talking about being a cop or being a lawyer or somebody who had money, but higher status because they thought they was better than the color of the person who got arrested. Most racial crimes those men did not commit, but they were simply put into prison because of the color of their skin. Because somebody thought that because they was a little bit too dark, that their life mattered way less than theirs. You have a lot of young people, a lot of young children. One of the first young kids that was an actual child who was sent to be executed didn't even commit that murder. And he was under the age of 14. There's a lot of men who go to trial for rape that has never even raped anybody. So we really got to pay attention to our bad habits that we can pick up from other people that is making us sin and do evil. That is making us get off the wrong path. And we think that we're doing okay. It's okay. Well, I don't act like them and I don't do what they do. But you don't realize that you're slowly picking up sinful habits just by the people you hang around. So we got to pay attention. We got to stay woke. We got to stand up for ourselves. And a lot of people don't realize that they need to stand up for themselves because they don't see actual bullying or any of this or any of that that's not so right in their face of being harsh. Standing up for yourself means that you got to make sure, hey, you know, that's not how we need to act. I don't appreciate it. I'm not going to be around it. I'm not going to socialize myself if that's how you're going to act, if that's how you're going to talk. Then I can no longer be myself around it because I'm not going to let that slide. I'm not going to put up with it because I don't need your negative energy to collide with mine. I don't need your bad habits to seek on into me. I don't need to be drinking the same Kool-Aid that you're drinking. And a lot of people don't realize that, but it happens. And the devil's sitting back laughing because it's one of the very small things that we do not realize to pay attention to, that we don't think is very important. But he's very sneaky. The devil is so sneaky. You know, you got to remember, he's been around for thousands of years. He knows how to just slide his way in there. He's a snake. And he doesn't play fair. Why? Because he's the devil. Why would he play fair? And see, as Christians, in our walk of life, we tend to do things on the fair basis. And we forget that the enemy doesn't play fair. And then we're wondered and we're shocked and we're smacked in the face. Well, how is that? We got to remember he's evil. He's the devil. He's a sneaky little punk, full of lies and full of deceit. ready to destroy our lives.